going on, guys? Happy Wednesday. What's up, Mike? Hey, what's up, Jay? Welcome, welcome. Hey, Patty, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Got a few more minutes here and we'll kick it off. Talking about a judge that pretty much destroys a white-collar defendant during his sentencing. I've spoken about this video before, just not sure if you guys have actually watched it or not. So because it has so much to do with the personal narratives and what goes into the PSR interview, I felt like this is an important video because a lot of you have been calling me lately, not necessarily from this chat, but when I ask where you're at in the situation, you're waiting to be sentenced, and I ask you about your personal narrative, and it just seems to be something that is completely being blown off and not taking any sincerity to it at all. So that's what we're going to focus on today here a little bit. And we've got about another minute before we jump in. Those of you that are just joining, welcome, welcome. Make sure, if you haven't already done so, text the word YouTube to 35074 to put yourself on a notification list to receive when we're going to go live and different specials and promotions we may be running in the future. And I really do hope all of you are enjoying your Wednesday and your week. I've still got my kids here for another week. Well, one of them goes home. One of them goes home tomorrow, and the other one will be here for another 7 days. All right, so it looks like it's about 7 p.m. So we'll go ahead and kind of jump into it and kick this thing off. Here we go. Sorry, guys. I don't know why the audio on that intro does that. Super humid in Connecticut. It's not humid here, but it sure is hot. That's awesome, Chris. I'm glad you could do that, guys. Well, welcome to Federal Prison Time. I'm RDAPdan. Today we are talking about a judge that actually pretty much destroys a white-collar defendant during his sentencing hearing. And this video is really important. We're going to play a clip here in a second. But this video is really important because so many people will give me a call and ask me what they can do to possibly reduce their sentence, try to get into programs. And when I ask them where they're at in their situation, a lot of guys have already gone through their PSR interview, and some of them are getting ready to get sentenced. And when I ask them what have they done with their personal narrative and character reference letters, either A, they haven't done them, B, they've done them but they don't really know what's in them, and some people only have character references and no personal narratives. So it's kind of mind-blowing, especially if you're watching these videos, and not just my channel. There's plenty of other people that talk on this topic very often. People do not take this serious. Guys, your PSR interview, your personal narrative, and your character reference letters are going to be pretty much the most important thing that's going to happen once you know you're actually going to get federal prison time. You guys have heard me talk a lot in the past about a specific video that I found on YouTube that has a judge pretty much blasting somebody, telling them, I have no idea who you are. Reading your PSR 4 or 5 times, I don't feel any different after reading it than before I read it. And that is not what you want to hear. So in this video, one of two things happened. One, the guy didn't do a personal narrative at all. Or B, his personal narrative was just worthless and had no meaning to it. So why don't we watch this video and tell me what you guys think. And I apologize if it doesn't play smooth here, but we're going to give it a shot. All right, so let's go ahead and play this video. Here we go.
But the thing that comes to me is that I can read somebody's pre-sentence investigation normally and get a picture of either what happened or of the person. I read this PSI and I still don't know who you are. I cannot figure out anything. I know you don't have a record. And obviously, part of it is the recitation of what led us here, the charges, the facts, the circumstances. But when we get to the personal portion of it, is who is this individual? And what do I know about him? And what kind of judgment can I make to try to determine what's right to do? I've read it at least 4 times, and I still can't figure out the motivation for this. Other than what might have been stated here, to read. Thinking in terms of medical, but there was an addiction, obviously, to purchasing, or an addiction to spending. I feel as empty after reading this as I did before reading. I just don't know who you are. I can't figure it out. But I know what the consequences are to everybody, and from letters received from the public, but of course from letters received from your family and friends as well. The consequences of your own family are devastating. And you've given up pension, you're giving up most every asset that you have, even if some of it is ill-begotten, that's for sure.
All right, so there is a very, very typical situation to take place when effort is not put into your personal narrative and when you don't know what information you're giving U.S. probation during the PSR report. It is more common than you guys know, and for some reason there is so little effort put into this area, and I don't know why. I do know why. I think it has a lot to do with maybe the attorney's not preparing you properly, telling you maybe how important this actually is. You're not doing your own research. There could be all kinds of conclusions in what happened in that specific sentencing hearing. Maybe U.S. probation didn't do a good job on the PSR in revealing the information in there to the judge. Maybe the defense attorney didn't do his job making sure that the PSR was correct. But ultimately, guys, it's going to come down to you, the defendant. When these are things that you have in your control. If this client had done what he should have done, if this defendant had done what he should have done and took the time and the effort and made sure he had a solid personal narrative and made sure that it was entered into his PSR report at the time of the PSR investigation, making sure that the personal narrative was entered in there, or doing whatever he could do to try to get it entered in there, most probation officers will not have a problem putting your personal narrative into your PSR if the personal narrative makes sense and it's explaining information. In most cases, it's going to help U.S. probation do their background on you to create this information and give it to the judge. You do not ever want to hear what that judge said at sentencing. You know, we talk about this, we talk about this, we talk about this. You guys will pick up the phone, you'll call me, and I ask you where you're at with your letters. You either haven't done them, you don't know who's doing them, you don't know what's in them. A bad letter is just as bad as no letter at all. If you've got a letter that's just begging for forgiveness and begging for probation and telling the judge you're so sorry and that you can't imagine going to prison and this is going to be so rough on your children or it's going to be so rough on your family, these are comments that the judge has heard over and over and over from a million people prior to you sitting in front of him on that day. Your letter and your PSR needs to stand out and be different, needs to be accountable, it needs to be you owning it, it needs to explain who you are to give the judge some backstory other than just what you're going to prison for. He's already going to know what your crimes are, but he needs to know what your frame of mind was. He needs to know why you did what you did. He needs to know why you're sorry. What have you done to atone for the issues that you've caused? Have you truly identified your victims, being both the people that you may have taken advantage of as well as your friends and family? There's so much to go into that people underestimate, think they can throw it together, think they can find some quick templates online and put a masterpiece together. Unless you know what you're doing and you know what the judge is looking for and what he doesn't want to see at the same time, it's almost just as important as to know what not to put in there as it is to know what to put in there. So we stress it, guys. This is why this is something that we specialize in. And as you've seen, we've got clients that have had amazing outcome, amazing results, everywhere from probation to dramatically reduced sentences, and it has so much to do with those letters that we're talking about. What that judge said to that gentleman during his sentencing lets you know that that person, as a defendant, as a white-collar criminal, and he may have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on his legal defense, he failed at sentencing. That was a complete failure, and that is very typical. You do not want to be that person. What's going on, Chris? Chris Cruz. So those of you that are tuning in maybe for the first time, those of you that are watching this video later when it's not live, if you're going to be getting sentenced and you do not have a personal narrative, you don't have character reference letters, or you do and you're not sure if they're accurate, they're not sure if it's what the judge is going to want to be seeing, maybe your attorney's not giving you the insight, the direction that you need, guys, I can't stress it enough. My phone number is on that screen, 509-434-4695. You can call me, you can email me, you can text me, and these are topics that we take real serious. Your personal narrative, your character reference letters, making sure you're prepared for that PSR interview to put you in the best possible position for programs like RDAP, the residential drug addiction program that can reduce your sentence by up to 12 months. All of these things take place during that PSR interview. If you're not sure what a PSR interview is, then man, shoot me a text and ask me. Ask me what a PSR interview is and when does that take place. You know, you need to know these things. You need to be more involved in your own case than everybody else is. Your attorneys are there, yes, but you got to realize how many cases do they have that they're working on, whether it's an appointed attorney or an expensively paid for attorney. How many other cases are they working on, and how much of a priority is your case really? Once you start holding your attorney more accountable, making sure he's giving you the answers that you need, answering your questions, and not a roundabout answer where it's kind of making you run in circles, but actually explaining the process to you. Guys, when you get your discovery, go over your discovery with your attorney. I just spoke to a client yesterday that's getting ready to get their discovery, and they want to know what their attorney should be doing. You know, I can tell you that my attorney kind of dropped the ball on this, and so did I when I was going through it because I didn't know any better. But when I was given my discovery, which was 8 CDs of information, my attorney said, just review your discovery and let me know if you have any questions. Well, I don't know what I'm reviewing, right? You're reading all of this stuff for the first time. Your anxiety is through the roof. You don't know what to be looking for, what's good in there, what's bad in there. So sit down with your attorney and say, look, I'm going to go through it, but I want you to go through it with me. This is what you're getting paid for. I need to understand what this discovery means, and based on that discovery is going to let you know how to proceed with the case. If they don't have shit on you, you might want to fight a little bit harder. If they got you dead to rights, you might want to, hey, let's jump on the first plea they offer. You know, these are things that make a difference. I'm just reading some of your guys' comments here. So guys, it's been a frustrating week for me because I've received a lot of phone calls and a lot of messages, and I would say 90% of the people that I spoke to, and these are non-clients, these are people that are calling up to find out about the services, and when we start talking about the personal narratives and the character reference letters, it's like they don't really care. There's not a whole lot of, you know, how much do you charge? Oh, we charge $14.95. Oh, well, I'll get back to you. It's like, you spend how much money on an attorney? How much is your freedom worth? How much is the shortest possible prison sentence worth to you? I mean, if it's not worth $1,500, then yeah, I mean, don't waste my time either. But these videos are intended to give you as much information as possible without it costing you a dime. What's going on, Tamara? tomorrow you have to watch this video from the beginning. Once it resets, we posted a video on here from a judge that pretty much blasted a white-collar defendant during sentencing because his personal narrative was either non-existent or it was very poor, and the judge knew nothing about him based on the PSR. So he pretty much ripped into the guy. You can only imagine what kind of sentence he got. But guys, it's when you look at the cost versus reward, and you're looking at prison consultants, and you're looking at possibly reducing your sentence, and you're looking at making sure you can potentially qualify for different programs, early release, getting the additional halfway house, making sure that your personal narrative is correct. These are all things that if you don't put in the time and the effort, and if you're not willing to make something happen, $1,500 is not chump change. I get that, but it's also not $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 on what the majority of other consultants are going to charge you for, in a lot of cases, a much lesser type of a service with what you're actually going to get. So it blows my mind. If I could have found a prison consultant that was $1,500, you better believe me, I would have done what I had to do to come up with the money if I didn't have it. And it's just odd to see people that just don't see the value in making sure that they've done everything that they can do. I think a lot of people are looking for like that magic bullet. Like they want to hear that magic word that's just going to tell them, oh, this is all you got to do and it's going to fix everything. There is no magic recipe that's just going to instantly fix it. It's going to require hard work, dedication. It's going to require you to do your own research. It's going to require you to get involved in your own case. It's going to require you to sit down and actually start writing. We'll provide you with templates. We can provide you with samples from other clients that have allowed us to use their letters to help you guys have a better possible outcome. So we'll give you all of the tools, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to be willing to sit down and pour your heart and soul into this letter to make sure that it's not leaving anything out. If you've been arrested before, if you've been sentenced before, whether it was to probation, whether it was juvenile issues that you've dealt with, whether it was DUIs, doesn't matter what it was, you want to bring this stuff up in your letters. You want to bring this stuff up during the PSR interview. You don't want the judge to have something that he can bring up on you that you didn't bring up to him. If it's done right and it's executed properly, you're going to take all of the wind out of the judge's sail and leave him with nothing but the thought of this guy has gone above and beyond of taking accountability. He's shown true remorse. He's out there giving back in the community. He's got a mentor network. He's got amazing letters from his friends and family, and they co in sync with what his personal narrative is. So you don't have one person saying one thing and somebody saying something completely the opposite. Everything should be in harmony. And if it's not, you're wasting your time. Waste, waste, waste. Yeah, John had an interesting call from his attorney today, but we'll leave that for another video until we know more about what's going on with that. But real good stuff. His case might be getting kicked down from federal to state, so that would be real nice. Just reading some information here. Terrible to hear about Judge. I'm not sure yet, Chris. My attorney said minimum security, which I don't know. Nick, in most cases, minimum security means a camp. Most attorneys don't use the same lingo. They don't say camp, low, medium, pen. They either say high, medium, or low. So I imagine if he's saying minimum security, to me, when an attorney says minimum, that references a camp. So unless you have criminal history and there's a reason why you think you'd be going to a low or a medium, I imagine that's camp. So we're going to have a real interesting interview here in the next, I would say within the next 7 to 14 days, an interview with a sex offender that is currently going through the motions, under indictment, going through it, taking accountability and responsibility for what he's done, and he's willing to come on, be interviewed to help himself grow through what he's done to be able to not make these type of mistakes again in the future, but more importantly, to help so many people out there that are struggling with that same addiction of of looking at underage pornography on the computer. And it's a huge epidemic, guys. I think it's so underspoken about because of the tabooness to it. Tabooness? Is that a word? I don't know how taboo it is. It's very, very underspoken. People do not talk about it, and it's very scary. And I learned also, even when these guys are in therapy, a lot of the times a therapist doesn't really want to get too in-depth about it because the therapist is afraid that they might disclose something that they have to bring to authority. So it's like, where do you get to vent and talk and really dig in and find out what's going on? So that interview is going to happen in the next 7, 10, 14 days, and then, edit it, get it up. So I'm really looking forward to that because I think that topic is going to help a lot of people that might never come out and talk about it, but it's going to be out there because, man, there's people out there that have that addiction that just don't know what to do about it and don't even understand how serious it is. So I think it's important for us to address that issue because it definitely is a very, very kept in the dark secret, something that people don't want to talk about, but yet we all know it goes on day in, day out. And the best way to help this get prevented in the future is to give somebody an outlet to where they can go and research and reach out to other people that are going through it, a community of people helping people. That's what we're all about, right? Community's method, guys. So regardless of how some people may feel about it, my views and opinions are strong on it. If you're going to help one person, you got to help everybody. It's not pick and choose who you want to help, because nobody wants that person just to get released and go right back to that addiction. Next time it could be your child. So I think it's important to find a way to deal with that addiction. So we're looking forward to that. I really encourage you guys, if you're getting indicted, you're under federal investigation and you don't know what to do and you're just kind of waiting for your attorney to lead you in the right direction, you got to start thinking about what can you do? What control do you have? What choices can you make that can influence the outcome of a potential sentence? Putting your time and effort into these letters, guys, starting before you do your PSR. Meeting up with a prison consultant prior to your PSR interview is really a key factor. After the PSR interview, so many things are already set in stone, and it's really hard to undo that, as we've explained in a lot of other videos. Tamara, hope you're having a great time with your youngins, Dan. I am. Unfortunately, they're like teenagers in their own world a lot of the time. So, my older daughter is 16, so we're gonna go drive around a little bit when I get done with this video. She's wanting to get her license here pretty soon. So we've been going out and driving. Took her out for the first time a couple days ago, and she actually did really, really well. So I was impressed. My younger daughter, she's actually 15, and she's driven before with me in Florida when she was probably, I guess, 12. Wow, a long time ago. Wow, I was letting a 12-year-old drive. What was wrong with me? But not drive like, hey, let's hit the road and go, just in a parking lot without being able to use the gas pedal. But yeah, I'm having a good time. My older daughter leaves tomorrow. She goes back to New York, so we're going to go out for a nice little breakfast in the morning before she gets on her flight. Time goes by so fast. But thank you, Tamara. I'm having a blast. So what did you guys think about the video with the judge? Do you guys see anything important in there that you need to be focusing on? And is anybody not taking the personal narrative and the character references serious? Has anybody in here not done their personal narrative yet that's going to be getting sentenced in the near future? Or has anybody not done their PSR interview yet that's not sure what needs to go in there? If you're looking for RDAP, the Residential Drug Addiction Program, if you're looking for that time off, do you know what it is that you need to do to put in that time and effort in order to have those positive potential outcomes? Which video are you talking about, John? Yeah, a lot of you guys that are West Coast, a lot of you guys are going to be running into each other in prison. Serge is at Sheridan. Todd's at Lompoc. Sean is at, I forgot if he's at Lompoc or Sheridan, but a lot of you guys are going to end up at Lompoc and Sheridan. Seems like that's been probably the two most common prisons that people have been talking about. Doesn't seem like there's any camps left in California that do RDAP, because Lompoc only has it in the low or the medium, and they're no longer taking people from the camp. They're no longer putting a manager variable to bring them up to the low to put them in. So they're going to have to be transferred out if they're going to get into the residential drug addiction program. Is RDAP only federal? It is only federal, John. However, there's other similar programs. I'm not completely familiar with them that are in state, and obviously it's state by state, so it's really hard. It's not like all state programs are run the same. There's similar programs throughout that can offer that type of assistance, and then state has a lot of, depending on what state you're in, there might also be parole for early release. State, federal prison is usually a better stay. State is usually, you have a better opportunity of getting like a lesser sentence, getting possibly probation. So you got to weigh the pros and cons depending on, where you're going, what your crimes are, different things. There's all kinds of factors that play into when you're going to be going state versus federal. Like if my case would have been a state case, I'm not even sure if it would have gotten picked up. But with the feds, different story. Just reading some of these comments here. Tomorrow my dad let me drive in a huge enjoying parking lot. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing. We're just rolling around in the parking lot of a church. Big open space, so really nothing to hit as long as she doesn't slam on the gas pedal, which she's been good about. I think she walked to 7-Eleven to get a Slurpee. Did you guys see, what was it yesterday? 7-Eleven free Slurpee day? Oh my God, I should have taken a picture. The line was so far out of the store, it was like literally backed up all the way to the street. I didn't know that many people. I mean, it must have been a 30-40 minute wait in a line for a free Slurpee. You got to be kidding me. This is what's wrong with America. We'll wait in a line for 10 days to get a free Slurpee, and then complain that we don't feel well and we're getting overweight. But we got to get our Slurpees, right? Get our Slurpee on. Yazoo has been on lockdown for several months. Really? Still in lockdown tomorrow? Man, Ian must be just ugh. One of my co-defendants is at Yazoo. He's still there, I think. You should ask Ian if he knows a guy named Adelard Francois. That was one of the head guys of my conspiracy. Adelard Lafrancois. Goes by Al. Real creepy looking guy. Beady eyes. I think he's at Yazoo. But yeah, he's still in. I don't think he gets out for another 6 or 7 months. And if he's there, you don't need to tell him I said hi, because I really don't have any intentions of ever talking to him again. Done with those type of people. Well, it looks like Nick and Chris made a little bromance over here. All right, you guys from a similar area might be going to the same prison. I mean, it definitely helps. It's like, hey, let's go into prison on the buddy system. If you could go into prison with a friend, how much better would that be? It's like, hey, I'll see you when we get there. Who we missing here tonight? We haven't seen... Where's Juan Carlos been? I got to check in on Juan. Actually, he sent me a text. He said he was having steak tonight. His dad was cooking him a nice fat steak or something like that. No, man, I'm serious, Chris. The buddy system is awesome. Nothing wrong with the bromance. Didn't they make a TV show about bromancing or something? I had several bromances. Bromances are cool. I'm going to get a shirt. rdapdan, bromance. Miss Duchy. What are you asking about, Miss Duchy? I haven't seen her in the room in a minute either. I want to say Miss Duchy even started her own YouTube channel. I'm not sure if she's been working on it or not. But man, I encourage all of you guys to create a YouTube channel talking about your situation. I'm telling you, first off, it's a topic people are somewhat interested in, and you never know who's going to watch your video and what you're going to learn from it later on, and seeing how your personality is now and your views now versus after all of this. It's definitely something very, it's like rewarding to see yourself grow and watching it through old videos. Like I watched from my first video, a couple of videos in to where, to where I am now. And it's just, you're always growing and you're always changing, and hopefully you're always progressing. If I catch myself regressing, then I guess I have to really pay attention for that. But I'm trying to every day make, a couple of steps forward. There's going to be those days where you take a step backwards, but as long as you're moving forward, that's what counts. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen Miss Duchy in a while. Tomorrow, I'm not sure where she's been. There people come and go out of the room, and people get busy. And I know this is a little late for a lot of people on the East Coast. I've been debating on maybe running it earlier on Mondays and Wednesdays. So I don't know what you guys would think about if I were to start it maybe an hour and a half earlier. If that would make it a little easier for you guys. So that would be some feedback. You guys let me know if you want an earlier time slot, and we can test it out and see how it works. But I imagine 10 o'clock on the weekdays, it's not super late, but I know some of you are like really old and you need your beauty sleep. That's me. Come 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'm passed out. Not this week, because I've been hanging with the children, they're not even children, hanging with the soon-to-be adults. It's so weird how big they are and how grown up they are. And my daughter's got a nose piercing, like what is that thing right here? She's got a little, like a bull ring. Tamara's riding out with us. She's staying up as late as possible. Hey, if you guys need a vacation, I'm telling you what, Tamara's got a family member that can set you guys up with an amazing Costa Rica, right, Tamara? Tour guide in Costa Rica. So if Tamara feels like giving you guys that information, just let Tamara know, and she can get you guys. And I've looked at the pictures, and man, it just looks like such a fun time. Yeah, I've emailed Ian a couple times tomorrow, and I haven't heard back from him, so I don't know if that's because they're on lockdown and they can't use email or computers. But since I emailed him that last time, and I sent you the copy of the email that I sent him, I still haven't heard back from him, so I don't know if he's just not allowed to email. But, we send out emails every week to everybody. Costa Rica is correct. Thanks, Dan. You got it. So by me plugging that, I guess I get a free Costa Rica vacation. All right, fine. Don't twist my arm. I don't even think they'll give me a passport. We're not giving you a passport, rdapdan. I bet I could get my passport back now. I haven't really tried. I imagine if I ask I'm on about as good as terms as you can get with probation, as one could be, in my opinion. So I imagine if there is a way to get a passport at this point, I could probably do it. I'm sure he wouldn't be like, yeah, sure, you need a passport for vacation? Go ahead. But if it was like, hey, I got to go to Costa Rica to do a YouTube video, be like, yeah, we can make that happen. he's really very cool with what I do, very supportive of what I've decided to do. I was very nervous getting into this, knowing that, man, if probation wants to say no, you can't do this until you're off probation, I would have had no choice. And by the time I'm off probation, it would have been real hard to do this then, because so much information would have been lost in my mind. Getting into this so fresh right out of prison, it just made the content real smooth and real transitional just to come out. Okay, so that explains why I haven't heard from Ian. Well, thank you for that clarification there, Tamara. Sorry he's on lockdown, but yeah, definitely ask him if he knows Adelard Lefrancois, and if he does, stay away from him. Very slimy character. I don't talk to any of my co-defendants, even though none of us were necessarily on bad terms. There's one co-defendant I would love to talk to, but I think he blames me for him going into federal prison, so I can't get a hold of him, but I understand that if that's the case. My good friend Costa, if you're out there, I miss you, buddy. But everybody else, other than Shelly, I have zero interest in talking to. I would love to hear about your access to a passport, Dan. I know Ian wants to get his back. You know, I will find out. I will, when I get off of when I get off of this video tomorrow, I will shoot my probation officer an email and ask him what is the protocol to get my passport back. And I'll also let him know it's a question that a lot of people are asking. So maybe I can give some insight on that. That would be great, because I really would like to get one. But yeah, 3 weeks. That's a long time. Very long time. Well, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up. It's a little slow in here tonight. We don't have a whole lot going on. Really, the purpose of this video tonight was to really stress the importance of your personal narrative, character reference letters, and having them done before you do your PSR interview, because you really want to have your personal narrative included into your PSR. That way the judge sees your personal narrative well before, a couple of days before sentencing. The sooner he gets that, you heard that judge, he read it 4 times and doesn't know anything more about the client after reading it that he knew before reading it. So that is not the outcome that you want. So make sure you put in the time, you put in the effort, you put in the research. You're not just leaving everything up to your attorney, because if you are, you're very likely to get a poor outcome, poor results that are going to result in a longer sentence than what need to be. Those of you with minimum mandatories, you might be thinking, what's the point? I've got a minimum mandatory. Because it's a minimum mandatory, don't think the judge can't sentence you above that minimum mandatory. The judge doesn't think that you've been remorseful, doesn't think that you've learned anything from this, and thinks you deserve additional time above and beyond the minimum mandatory. That's up to the judge's discretion. Also, if you have guideline, let's say you have a guideline range of like 21 to 60 months or something like that, and you have no minimum mandatory, just because your guideline range is 21 to 61, that doesn't mean that the most time the judge could sentence you to is 60 months. That's just an advisory guideline. The judge has the ability to go below that, which is ideal, but he also has the ability to go above that if he doesn't feel that you've learned anything and that you're not making use of your time. So put in what you can. Put in the time, put in the effort, reach out, talk to people. Don't be afraid. Don't think, you're going to get all nervous and you don't know what to say, and you're a combination, whether it be shy, whether it be embarrassed. Don't allow that to prevent you stopping yourself from making the progress that is needed to help you serve the lowest amount of time in the best possible situation, guys. RDAP, halfway house, good time, all of these things can make a huge impact on how soon you can get home. 42-month sentence I was given, I only served 13. That wasn't by good fortune or good luck. That was by busting my ass from the minute I started focusing until the day I was released from prison. And still to this day, right now while I'm talking to you guys, every day has its struggles. Every day has it's such a rewarding feeling to know that you're doing the right thing for the right reasons, and that you're making the right choices when no one's looking. When you start finding yourself making positive choices and positive decisions when no one's looking, and I keep bringing up that same metaphor, when your dog takes a shit outside and no one's looking, are you picking it up? If you're not, then you're still struggling. If you're going out there in the middle of the night and no one's looking, and you know you're out there with that bag looking for that poo-poo in the grass, well, now you're making progress, guys, because that's part of your character. Your character's either there or it's not, or it's in progress to get there, or it's not in progress. And if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. Simple as that. All right, guys. Hope you have a great Wednesday. I'm rdapdan. I will talk to you guys on Saturday. I'll keep you updated as to when we do the interview process. Keeping you guys going on that, and I hope everybody has an amazing week. I'm rdapdan. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.